What is up, my friends? Welcome to Friday's episode, the Craft of Fatherhood podcast. This is your guide, Ned Schaut. I believe our role as fathers has the power to change the world simply by knowing who we are and embracing the adventure. On these short Friday episodes, I'll share stories from my own life, things I'm wrestling with, things I think I'm doing well at, and things that I'm sucking at. So here we go. I had a podcast recently with Gary Staish. I highly recommend it. 72-year-old incredible man. We need sages like this in our life. There's something he shared that I'm going to share with you. In case you don't hear it, I don't want you to miss out on this really important nugget. So we were talking about discipline, and he was reflecting back on disciplining his kids. And one of the things that I loved is, that you just want to punch your kid in the nose, right? Your kid's just pissing you off. And it was perfect because I had a situation just this morning where I'll share with that in a minute, but my kid just pissed me off. And here's what he suggested and what he recommended. He would say, hey, you don't want me to discipline you right now because I'm frustrated, mad, angry, whatever the truth is that you are. You don't want me to discipline you because it's not going to be good for me. It's not going to be good for you. So I'll get back to you. Now, I don't know verbatim what he said, but the point of this is that he would go to God, pause, pray over the next day or two and be, what does this kid need? How should I discipline this kid? And here's the thing. And I think, whatever, regardless of what you believe, the one, not reacting, okay, teaching myself not to react. The second is, instead of this freaking kid is selfish and entitled and deserves blank, okay, that's not the question as much as what does this kid need? Now, I also recommend go listen to the podcast I did with Daniel Lehman recently. Incredible of when to offer mercy and when to offer justice. Really, really important distinction. And it's about the kid's humility. But if we were to pause when we are to deliver discipline, which is a big part of our job, and go, what does this kid need? One, you're realizing that this is not just about you. Two, you're looking to God, higher power of, okay, I'm a part of this human being's life of shaping them. And I have a lot of power and influence here. So what am I going to do with this? And if I pause and I reflect on what is it that this kid needs, I'm going to get an answer if I'm asking myself that regularly, right? Because it happens regularly, to engage with this kid. Now, you can go listen to that. You get the concept. It's okay, but follow through, right? So, all right, God, Brody, X, Y, or Z. So what is it that he needs in this? Okay, what he needs this, that, or the other. Because sometimes I'll just react and be like, you're not getting your phone for the rest of the day. And then 2 hours later, that didn't really make sense. Here's your phone back, which that also doesn't make sense. So, and dudes, I get it. There's so much happening all the time, but this is a pretty important part of our role. So here's the one thing I do want you to consider and be careful of. I don't want to go to my kid and say, hey, I'm going to respond poorly in this situation. So I'm going to go talk to God and I'll get back to you. And then I come back and I'm like, yeah, God said that you need X, Y, or Z. I don't think that's a good idea. Just if this one's bit me in the booty. If somebody does something to piss off my wife and I go and figure it out, talk to her and say, okay, hey, you can't do this because mom said. Dude, we don't want to put it on God. We don't want to put it on our wife. Own your own shit. Own this. This is your job. This is your responsibility in whatever situation this is of you providing the discipline. So don't say, God told me that you really need this, because I just don't think that's going to work out well. I think you just own it. Own the consequences, because the fact that you're probably not going to get it right every time. So let's not put that on him that we made this decision and then said because the Bible or God or whatever. I went and I did some seeking of my own to what I think is best. Think I got the answer. I'm going to own that this is the decision that I am going to make. Make it and then live with that. Okay. Don't put it on don't put the responsibility on somebody else. It's up to you to own that responsibility. Okay. Something I realized today, and just to share this. So my kid pissed me off. I canceled my morning, which is fine. See, even me saying that, I make it about me. Cancel my morning, had to go to the DMV to do something. So maybe I was already a little irritated. I don't know. It's 2 hours. I don't think going to the cell phone store, you're going to be irritated. But my son and I start talking as we're waiting, and he said something about fairness, about, oh, well, this kid never has to do anything. You never asked them to do this. And I stood up and I'm like, this is bullshit. and I went and sat on another bench. So I share it. I share that, I think, just to be real and say, was that the best thing to do? No. Was it the best language? Is it the end of the world? No. So I don't know. There you go. There's that. But there was a little bit of an awareness in something. Part of the conversation also was my son right now, I've set it up where he's working to help me build an office, which was his idea in a sense. And every time I ask him, I mean, it's not every time. A lot of times he doesn't want to do it. We work 2 to 3 hours at a time. And he made a comment, I work on the office with you all the time. And I said, oh, okay. And he even said it. He's like, here, I'll pull up the timesheet. Okay. So he pulls up the Google Sheets and he's like, okay, let's go. I said, just go from the beginning of the month. Today's the 22nd. And he goes, okay. I added up. It was 10 hours. So I was okay. So 10 hours over 15 days. That's not a lot of time. And he didn't balk. Here's the thing I want you to hear. I think as dads, and I'll say this about me, I make an ask a lot of times. So will you clean the dishes? Let's just use that as an example. Same with the office, okay? Will you work on the office with me? And now there are times that you already have to, but then there are times that I go to him and I'm like, hey, we got some extra time right now. Do you want to? And he says, no. Fine, you could be making money, but fine. I'm not irritated about that. The point is, don't say you're doing this all the time because you're not counting the actual hours of work. You're counting the asks. So here's the point. I'm going to go to the dishes as an example. Will you, or the trash? Let's do the trash. Will you take out the trash? And if you have a 16-year-old boy, sometimes it takes 4 asks. So here's what's happening. I might say take out the trash 4 times, but he only takes it out once. I had to ask 4 times. But he is counting in his mind every single ask as a him doing it. So my thought on this is moving forward, and I need to get better about this because like you do something, there's more to do. You have this list of things. Is go make the ask and then check in within a couple. No, this is happening now, not later. It's happening now because you have this perception that I'm asking you to do something and you're having to do it 1,000 times. The reality is I'm having to ask you 1,000 times for you to do it 100. And so there's this perception of like, oh, poor me, which that's such BS anyways. But my point is we have to stop asking our kid to do something 3, 4, 5 times because they think, oh my gosh, I'm doing so much. And they're not. They're just hearing themselves being asked it so much. There you go. I don't know if that's helpful. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe you're Ned, dude, ask once, move on. But yeah, thank you. I'm getting better. All right, dudes, affirmation time. Okay, I'm adding this affirmation to the end of this episode. So repeat after me. It'll probably change, but here's the affirmation. I encourage you, write it down, put it on your mirror, say this to yourself every day. The first thing I want you to do, this isn't the affirmation, but this is the point of the affirmation. Who do you say that you are? Who do you say that you are? It really matters who you say that you are. So here we go. I am the CEO, the father of this family. I am here to listen, provide for, to protect, and to care for those that have been placed in my care. No one is going to do this for me. This is my opportunity, my responsibility, and my honor. My friends, if these conversations are helpful, write a review, share it with a friend. Remember who you are. You're a father and that matters. You matter. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact, and let's create lives engaged in mastering the craft of fatherhood. Much love to you, my brothers. Together, we are changing the world. I look forward to hanging out with you next week.